New at 6, 10 Investigates uncovered how the city of Columbus routinely denies paying for damages when police officers are involved in crashes.
Our story over the summer exposed how a loophole in state law allows cities and towns to claim they're immune from liability. The net result of this can leave drivers paying for repair costs they didn't cause.
Tonight, 10 Investigates has uncovered another layer to this story where the city of Columbus has denied payments even when officers are found to be at fault for their negligence.
Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Bennett Haverly.
You're about to watch a Columbus police officer strike a parked car.
Oh, mother.
An internal police investigation found the officer's use of profanity was clearly used as a vocal frustration for causing the accident. In the moments after the crash, the officer called his sergeant and admitted fault.
We're pulling up on our run, and I'm looking over to my right to see if I can find the equipment, and I was pulling up to the curb, and I ended up hitting the car that was parked to my right.
The Columbus Division of Police cited the officer for failing to control his police vehicle. But when the owner filed a claim for damages, the city attorney's office denied it, stating the city and its division of police are immune from damages when officers are on emergency calls. This was not an isolated incident. Earlier this summer, 10 Investigates found the city routinely denies paying for crashes involving its officers.
Are you okay?
In fact, out of the 100 claims we reviewed, the city denied payment in more than 60% of them, claiming they were immune because the officers were on emergency calls.
It was terrible.
What made it terrible?
Feeling like someone who was set to protect and serve was placing blame on me for an accident that I didn't cause.
Jessica Sprankle was left paying for her damaged SUV after she was struck by a Columbus police officer last summer.
And his first question to me was, did you see my lights? Did you see my lights? Yeah. And his lights were not on when he hit me.
Despite a crash report that revealed the officer did not have his emergency lights activated, and CPD citing the officer for failing to maintain his lane, the city attorney's office denied Jessica's claim, stating they are immune from damages and that the officer was providing a safety escort for construction vehicles and therefore was on an emergency call. Here's the catch. State law allows cities and towns to claim they're immune from paying for damages and crashes involving officers when they're responding to emergencies. And the courts have broadly defined emergencies as any call to service to which a response by a peace officer is required.
It leaves the victims of these accidents to fight for themselves, and it's completely unfair.
For weeks, City Attorney Zach Klein's office declined our requests for an interview. It was only after we informed his office that we planned to show up at this public event and question him that he agreed to talk. What we're finding is the city police department is finding that officer is at fault. They're being cited or disciplined, and yet the city's still denying payment.
Because that's what the law requires. And the reality is, if I would go and then start picking which cases to say we will pay as a city, and that means I'm going to decide which cases we're not, that creates an unlevel playing field where I, the city attorney, am picking winners and losers. That's not fair either.
But 10 Investigates found examples where the city attorney's office did pay up. Take a look at this.
I just hit some ice and spun out right there.
Body camera footage from this crash on 270 shows the officer admitted fault. The city did not reject the driver's claim. Instead, she got this check for $1,000. The same was true for another crash where a driver got a $500 check. In both cases, the city division of police found the officers were at fault, but the city attorney's office decided to pay up. You can see, though, where there is a discrepancy here, where people are being put out and taken advantage of, correct? You can understand that.
I can understand why folks are upset, but all we're doing is following the law. And if folks are upset with the law, I respect that we should change the law, and then we'll follow whatever the legislature tells us to do then. But Zach Klein's office, the city attorney's office, we're not doing anything outside the bounds of the law. We're simply following the law, and the law grants the city immunity. I'm not going to put myself in positions to pick winners and losers. We're just going to follow the law as the state of Ohio requires us to do.
Bennett Haverly, 10 Investigates.
State lawmaker Catherine Ingram from Cincinnati is proposing a bill to address this issue.